Hello! Today I am going to teach you how to make a homemade candle. This is a very simplified version. There are lots of other versions that you can find that are a little more scientific about what temperature to melt things to and all of that. I've made them this way quite a few times and they've always worked out just fine for me. And I thought the more simple I can make it, the easier it'll be for you guys to make them at home. So to start out, I want to show you that I have my jars already prepared because you'll want to have them ready to go before you start melting anything. And all I've done is taken popsicle sticks and I have soaked those in olive oil. I did this yesterday and then for about 30 minutes and then I let them dry. And that will just help them to take a flame a little bit easier. And then I have broken them to the proper length, just however long I wanted the wick to be. And right now I have a clothespin attached to it so that it will hold it in place until the candle wax that we are going to melt will dry. So to begin with, we have just a little pot with a couple inches of water in it. And I'm going to start that boiling. And I have found a glass bowl, just one that I normally use for cooking, that will fit just perfectly over the top of that pan. So that makes it into a makeshift double boiler because I tend to try to keep things as cheap as possible, and this is all things that I had on hand that I didn't have to buy a special double boiler for it. So we're gonna stick this bowl, it has nothing in it. We're gonna stick that just over the top, and as that starts to boil, it will heat that. Now here I have beeswax, and I like to get the little pellets. I don't know if you can see that, but they're just little teeny tiny pellets. They melt a lot quicker than a cube of beeswax. So I like to get those, and then I have, this is 2/3 a cup of those, and then I have a teaspoon and a half of coconut oil. And those are the two things we are going to dump into our glass bowl here. And I am just using an old spatula to stir this stuff up. So I haven't had any issues getting the candle wax off afterwards, but I figured just in case, I'll make sure that I am not too heartbroken if the candle wax will not come off of the spatula afterwards. And I'm just gonna stir this a little bit and it will begin to melt. So I'm gonna leave it for just a minute. I also have prepared the essential oils that I want to add in for the scent. Now, those of you who do not have essential oils in your house, you can get these for fairly cheap at a local natural market. Even some grocery stores do have essential oils now. I know down the street here in Kent, Washington, we have Nature's Market that I just went there the other day, and they had quite a few different scents. Those are what I like to use, but I have learned that if you do not have essential oils available and you do not want to spend the money on those, you can use extracts, like kitchen extracts, like vanilla or lemon, those things that you bake with. And they're a little bit harder to incorporate. You have to make sure you stir it really well in at the same time you would do the essential oils. And just mix those in really well and then make sure you pour it quickly. And I have tried it a couple times. One time the vanilla extract separated a little bit from the candle, but it did smell heavenly, so I still kept it and burnt it. And then the other times I didn't have any issues with it separating. I think you need to make sure that your wax is fully melted before adding in the extract. So that is another kind of cheaper option that you can try if you don't want to purchase any essential oils. Now I'm just stirring this. It's starting to get a little bit melty, but they're still very solid in there. So we're gonna stir that and give that a minute. Not too concerned, make sure I've got all this stuff set up. And you can obviously, they do have wicks that you can buy online on Amazon. Even some of the craft stores have the cotton wicks that have little glue dots that you can stick to the bottom of whatever container you're using. I chose to use the popsicle sticks because wood wick candles are really popular right now, and they are generally more expensive than a regular candle if you were to do store-bought. And I learned that the wood wick candles usually will crackle and sound kind of like a wood burning stove or a fireplace. So that's kind of fun. I decided I would try it and see if it would work, since I do know that that is a popular thing right now with those wood wicks. And I've had really good success. Sometimes it does take a couple times lighting it to get it to stay lit, but I haven't seen that be a major issue. So I am just stirring this. Still pretty clumpy. And I have this on medium-high heat. And I figure as long as you're paying attention, it's not gonna have any issues. Keep stirring. You can hear the water crackling underneath there. The biggest thing you need to focus on with how much water you put in is just make sure you do have at least a few inches in there, because you don't want it to boil dry. That would not be good. To have it boiling dry underneath, it could ruin your pan and cause other problems. So, all right, this is starting to liquefy, and all you look for to tell if it's done is if everything is melted. So this will still be a couple minutes here. Now on the recipe, it says that we need to do between 30 and 40 or 40 to 50 drops of essential oils, which sounds like quite a bit. Unfortunately, with using beeswax, it is a much more natural wax to use, so it's healthier to burn. It doesn't put more chemicals in the air, but it does not throw scent as well as some of the other chemically treated waxes. So that's why you have to put so much in there. And that's why I tend to use some of my cheaper oils that I have found online rather than name brand oil like doTERRA or Young Living, because it is quite a bit of essential oil that needs to go in there. All right, we are almost there. This is starting to liquefy quite a bit. I'm gonna get my hot pad here. Now this part you need to be very careful with because this is extremely hot, and I have put down an old towel so I don't ruin my countertop by having candle wax all over it, just in case some of it spills. So I'm going to turn off the heat. I'll show you that is completely liquefied. There are no little pellets of beeswax left. So I'm going to give it just a second, and I'm going to decide how many of these I want to do. I think I'm going to do 10 drops of this one, and you can just have fun with this. 8, 9, 10, and mix different scents. So you could do relaxing, like this one I'm doing is a very relaxing scent. It's got lavender and vanilla and a couple mixed in with it. Or you can do like a citrus and have it be lemony or orangey and more of an uplifting candle. And you can mix some of them like I just did. I did a little bit of each. And I'll kind of smell it and see, okay, yeah, I'm not really smelling it super well. Be careful though of the steam that's rising too. Okay, I think we will call that good. And I'm just mixing that in for just a second to make sure it is well mixed. And I'm going to use my hot pad because that is very hot. This one is too small, so I am gonna pour it and then stick the wick in with that clothespin holding it in place. You see how that works? And this one, I can get it just around. So now all you have to do is not bother these, leave them be, and usually within a couple hours they're fully solidified. I have heard that it's better to wait up to 2 days to burn them because it just helps them to make sure that they're really set well. But I've burned them same day because I am not very patient and wanted to see how they worked, and I haven't had any issues. So that is how you make a homemade candle, a very simplified version, but I hope that that helps you to have some fun with some crafting and making some gifts for your friends. Thanks. Bye.